Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Design Under Influence. Today we're talking about Revit. What is it, and specifically, who is it for? We're going to look at 3 different versions for 2022, and we're going to try to help you answer the question, if you're considering Revit, which version is right for you, and sort of what the implementation may look like. So here with me are my usual suspect plus one. My usual suspect is Boris Rappaport, is CEO of a company called ArcIT, and he's coming at it from a perspective of IT expertise. You know, ArcIT, I'm part of that company as well. We help architecture, design, engineering firms implement technology and manage technology so you could do your best work. Now, I do have we're going to come at this topic from another perspective. I want to introduce Michael Bass. We're super excited to have him. He is design technology software expert. So his expertise is exactly in specific tool subset that all architecture and design firms are using. So Michael, great to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So let's jump right in, just like we always do. Let's not, talk around it. Let's go right into it. Boris, why don't you kick us off? What is Revit?
Revit is a software tool.
Oh, thank you.
That's the easy question, right? So Revit is a tool that architects and engineers use, and also used in construction as well. And it's basically, to me, it's a really good tool that can live through the life cycle of the building, right? I mean, it's a database of things, and it's really impactful on, with the design and build community. But I want to throw this over to Michael so that he can give us a little more detail and dive deeper into this.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so I think what you said was really spot on. I would also just add that, Revit is really this technology that was built for building information modeling, right? It's a platform. And the idea with it is that you're building a model that's both 3D and has a data backbone to it. So rather than drawing individual sheets, you're building a model, and then the drawings are created as sort of a result of that modeling. And so because it's a database, there's this bi-directional relationship between the objects that are in the model, both on the 3-dimensional side and also the data.
So if somebody's using AutoCAD, what are some of the, let's call high-level advantages to moving into Revit? Why should people consider it? And then we can maybe dive into the 3 versions available now and who are they for?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because even though, AutoCAD's been around for a long time, it still does really good work and has some great tools. I think that one thing to consider, if you're looking at moving into Revit, is if you have a few people, more than 2 or 3 that are working in a project at the same time. Revit, being a database, is really set up to have multi-users working at the same time within it. And it also does help a lot with the coordination between different things. So if someone is working on an elevation drawing and another person's working on a plan, if there's changes in one or the other, those will be reflected in your sheets at the end. So it does a good job of doing some of the coordination that we're used to doing manually in AutoCAD.
And I think another thing that we mentioned in our pre-show is it's also coordination, not just within your team, but coordinating with our other teams on the project, right? Like electrical, mechanical, making sure that, all of their designs kind of fit, right? Does the right word fit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, there's a whole another kind of level of coordination, clash detection that you can do if you have objects in 3D. And, effectively, if you're using Revit with consultants like an electrical or mechanical engineer, structural engineer, you can actually start doing a lot of really good pre-construction work as a result of that. And it's really purpose-built for those sorts of studies.
That's great. So let's say people are in the process of, I think we're, 7, 8, 10 people. We have a lot of this collaborative work requirements that right now are falling, making our lives more difficult. So Revit is something we want to do. Michael, can you go just walk us through on a high level what the pricing, there's different flavors of it. You call them flavors. There's different flavors of Revit. So it's not just to buy one thing and you have it. There are different kinds of or versions of it.
Yes.
Can you walk us through them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that that's one of the things that, as Revit's grown, there are these different options now. And one of the things that's nice now is you have basically two main products. You have Revit LT, which is their light version, and then just Revit. Both include tools for multiple disciplines. So regardless of whether you're an architect or, landscape or structural, you'll have many of the same tools. LT has less capabilities, in terms of multi-user environment. So if you do have multiple people that need to work in a model, that's not really going to be the right product for you. But in terms of price, it comes in at a great price point. And right now, just quoting from Autodesk, for Revit LT on a monthly subscription, you're looking at about $60 per user. For yearly, it's about $475 US. And then for the full Revit, you're looking at about $320 per month, or about $2,500.
Is that per user too on a full version?
Yeah, that's per user. Yeah.
And so how would, from your experience there, Michael, what sort of firms would be okay with LT versus which ones actually need to shell out for the full version?
Yeah, no, that's something that you definitely want to ask yourself, because frankly, you don't want to get more product than you need. And really, Revit LT is great, especially for a company that's maybe looking at dipping their toe into it, to building information modeling, to trying it out, testing the waters. I think for residential or commercial, as long as you're not doing, organic 3D forms, Frank Gehry type style buildings, then those tools are all the tools that you need are going to be in Revit LT for a conventionally designed building. However, you do want to think about if you are looking at maybe using like a rendering plugin or different types of add-ins. Revit LT does have some limitations. It doesn't actually allow you to use add-ins. So it's really just like the core platform, basic, not dissimilar to AutoCAD LT as a variant from the full AutoCAD.
Gotcha. Boris, question to you. What sort of, I know we didn't talk about this pre-show when you're kind of digging into it deeper, but I want to understand what sort of hardware requirements, because, on the IT side, it's important to support our clients. And again, our sole motto is like, do your best work, and technology allows you to do that. But what sort of hardware requirements, just again, high level, do people need to have in order to get into Revit?
So if you are just looking to get into it and you want to run the LT version of Revit, the requirements are going to be different than running the full version. Now, in both cases, Revit is very processor heavy. And I also, we've noticed that, it tends to utilize just a single set of cores. So even if you have multi-core processors, it is really focused on utilizing single core. So you want a processor that's powerful enough where maybe, it's a quad core i5
Can you speak
processor.
English, please?
You want a fast processor.
Thank you.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And you also want to have a graphics card in your computer. Again, for Revit Lite, I think a lower end graphics card from NVIDIA, would be okay. For Revit full version, especially if you use additional plugins for rendering, like either Enscape or Lumion, you want to have a RTX graphics card from NVIDIA in your computer. So
Yeah.
fast processor and and a good graphics card. Memory can be questioned, but no design workstation should have less than 16 gigs of memory. That's for sure. I think even like office workstations nowadays need to have 16 gigs of memory. So 16 is the minimum. You want 32 kind of as a good to have, and 64 is really nice.
So quad core, graphics card, and what's the minimum speed of
the processor?
The processor, yeah.
Yeah, you want as fast as possible. So like 3 gigahertz would be great, right? So don't go for anything sub 3.
And we'll do a little bit more research. Maybe Michael can pitch in here, and we'll put this in the show notes in the article. Just so I think it's already outlined on Revit's website, but hey, we're coming from IT perspective. We see clients struggling and or having good times with the system, so we'll put our requirements out.
Yeah, and also like the field experience is a little different than what the website says.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to make one other note, which is A consideration also is, like network speed bandwidth, especially if you're working on a multi-user project. It makes a really big difference. In fact, Autodesk does have some, information about that, but we'll include that as a follow-up for this discussion.
Perfect. So, all right, guys. So let's wrap it up with the actual implementation. Unless you find there are other things we've missed that are kind of crucial for when people are considering getting Revit. But let's say they have already one foot in the door, and now they're sort of looking at implementation. What does the process look like? What does it cost typically? Kind of, can you high level that?
Michael, you want to take it or should I take it?
Yeah. So I think that, between the two products that we're looking at, Revit and Revit LT, LT doesn't really offer network deployment. So you are going to, if you have multiple users, it is going to take a little bit longer to, just literally get it onto people's workstations and to have them configured in the same way. But, we're looking at, in terms of getting the software installed, very similar operating for, AutoCAD or similar size CAD software. There's, of course, all of the considerations about, creating a template, which we won't go into great detail on here, but things that really make that implementation successful and make it match your company's, type of work and your style. Those are the kind of hidden costs that you want to keep an eye out for. And again, ArcIT is a great service provider that can help provide some more information about that. But just wanted to mention that as a part of the cost of the implementation.
Gotcha. Boris, any other maybe advice or any maybe pitfalls you've seen on implementations? Let's give some value here on the rollout side.
So again, it depends on the size of the implementation, right? And if you're considering Revit Lite as kind of your, first step, then as Michael mentioned, you have to install that product on each individual workstation one by one. You can do a network deployment, and it takes a little bit more time. But also that means that Revit Lite, and I think we've kind of covered that here, but I don't think we actually said it. I mean, I'm gonna say Revit Lite will work for a smaller firm, which is 3 to 5 people. I think once you get larger and you have more people working on single projects, if you're 7, 8, 10 person firm, you're probably going to go for full version of Revit. So in that case, obviously you need to install Revit on 10 computers versus 5 computers. And your deployment strategy will have to change. You would create, so the great thing about full version of Revit is it allows you to create a network deployment. So as a either IT person or as a firm owner yourself, if you want to do it, you can use the tools, create a deployment, and then each individual workstation can go to the server and download that version of Revit, configured exactly the same for all of the 10 computers or 20 computers or 30 computers that you have. Saves a lot of time than going into one individual computer and downloading it on its own.
Would then the ongoing management of this and hygiene sort of and processes within the tool be also simplified with network deployment, or that doesn't really change from light to regular version?
I don't think it changes. You still need to download and install updates, and basically you do that individually on each one of the computers. We have processes for helping our clients with that, and we have tools that we can deploy across the whole population easily and actually manage those deployments and make sure that it successfully deployed and rerun the deployments if needed. So there's extra effort in managing the update process in any Autodesk software.
And I just wanted to kind of reemphasize what Boris was just talking about with that managed deployment service that they do. I mean, honestly, that is really, really valuable use of time and spend if you're a small company, because having someone who can really help you set things up and manage them on an ongoing basis, it's such a huge time saver. You spend so much time adding or removing, trying to fix some installation that went wrong on a user's computer. So I think that's really good. But yeah, I think Revit is really the thing. If you have more than 3 to 4 people, you do probably want to get the full version. There's other things like the plugins that you can get, which will actually help you with implementations of, standards and all sorts of different capabilities that you wouldn't have otherwise. But again, Revit LT is a great place to start out and just test the waters. You can absolutely, people are doing great work with that, get great drawings, get 3D models, and it's really a good entry point. One final thing I did want to mention, and maybe we'll talk about this in another conversation, is that Autodesk does offer this thing called the AEC collection, and that bundles Revit and it bundles it with some pretty useful software, particularly if you're already using AutoCAD. When you get the AEC collection, you also get a license of AutoCAD. So you have Revit, AutoCAD, Civil 3D, Recap, some other softwares that, again, we can talk about another time. But the price for that is $390 per month versus Revit, which is $320. So it's only a bit more, but you get quite a bit more out of that. The yearly, I think, is around $3,100. So.
Perfect. We'll unpack that in the next episode. Thank you, Michael. Those of you who are looking for help in deciding which version is right for you, you need help implementing potentially Revit. Look, we're here at Arc IT. We only work with design, engineering, and architecture firms, and we're here to help, right? If you need help, reach out to us. We can do project-based, or we can do full-on managed services and really take care of your tech so you can do your best work. Michael, again, thank you very much for your time. Those of you who are interested to talk to Michael, ask him maybe some follow-up questions. He is I avoid the word guru, but I think this is deserved in this case. He understands design technology, been at it for a long time. Yeah, hit him up on LinkedIn, and we hope to do more shows together, Michael. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you, Boris, and I hope you all enjoyed the show.
My pleasure. Nice talking with you.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you guys later.
Hope to talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.